manage to ask her delicate questions, but she knew that Hedvig was the only person who had the courage to answer them. People were right that Hedvig was a gossip, and she could take advantage of that now. Sigrid took a sip of the hot coffee. "Tell me about Mama." "About Andrina?" Hedvig's green eyes with brown specks watched her. "What do you want to know?" Sigrid squirmed. "I spoke with Gulbrand and got the feeling he was hiding something from me." Hedvig took a deep breath. "So that's the story you're after." Sigrid didn't dare to answer or meet the woman's gaze. If she made the slightest move now, she thought anxiously, Hedvig too would fall silent. Her hands had turned clammy and sweaty, so she dragged them back and forth over her skirt. "Andrina came to the old priest, Rolfsson, and his wife when she was 15. Sigrid could hardly believe what she was hearing. "What do you mean, came to? I thought Mother was his daughter." Hedvig swatted away a fly that was buzzing in front of her face. "So that's what you have been told. No, Sigrid, she was placed with Rolfsson after a particular incident. She was taken into safekeeping, if I can put it that way. The Poverty Commission thought it was for the best. The gentleman believed the priest could drive the sin out of her lost soul." Dark shadows flickered before Sigrid's eyes. Everything she thought she had known about her mother, it turned out she knew nothing. Oh, why was it that the person it affected the most was always the last one to know the truth? And the men from the Poverty Commission were right. Mr. Rolfsson really managed to make your mother a good person. She eventually became pious, helpful, and quiet. If one didn't know her past, one wouldn't have believed her capable of such. The fear felt like a thumbscrew tightening around Sigrid's heart. She couldn't hold back the tears any longer. What had Mother done? Her father allegedly refused to allow her to marry a mere rag-and-bone man, and her revenge was merciless. She punished her father by setting fire to the farmhouse and the barn. Apparently, her family escaped the tragedy with their lives intact. However, her mother was in the farmhouse at the time, and her face was severely burnt. She was so badly disfigured that people turned away in disgust. Sigrid bent over the long table and cried. Hedvig put a comforting hand on her head and allowed her to get the tears out. Andrina had to pay a heavy price for her act of vengeance. The rag-and-bone man wouldn't acknowledge her after that. Her mother did not speak a word to her. As for her father, Hedvig shook her head. He beat Andrina senseless. If the servants on the farm hadn't stopped him, he would have killed her with his bare hands. That's how Andrina ended up as a foster daughter to the priest and his wife. Sigrid rubbed her eyes. "I've never heard this before. I thought Mother was Rolfsson's daughter. I never noticed anything disturbing about her." "No, that's understandable. Don't dwell on this story, Sigrid. Andrina turned into a good person. Since that fatal incident, no one has had a bad word to say about your mother." Sigrid stifled a moan. She regretted her curiosity now. Truth be told, now she had some idea of where Gudrun had inherited her madness. But the beautiful memory she once had of her mother had been shattered, like ice on the puddles at harvest time. Inga waited despondently in the bedroom. She bent forward, leaning her head against the window. The cold panes of glass cooled her forehead, and she closed her eyes with a sigh. She was unsure whether she had won the argument down in the kitchen. Had she been firm, but at the same time subservient enough? Had Gudrun and Niels understood that they couldn't order her about as they pleased, that she had a will of her own? Yes, she thought she had made her point. They probably realized she was going to ask about the bundle of keys again. They mustn't think she'd let Gudrun rule as lady of the house for long. Niels had admittedly said that Gudrun would take care of the keys for a while. For a while? What did that mean? Were they talking about weeks, months, or years? Her stomach felt queasy when it occurred to her that it might actually be years. Long, excruciating years. "No, no," Inga whispered to herself, distraught. "Heavenly Father, I know I don't pray often, but this time you must look upon me with mercy. The keys don't just provide a way to lock the buildings and keep track of the food supply. They are myself."